I am here. Mr. Borman is here. Mario Ill. Gary's here. Nickelbox is here. Nicole Ill. Miss Caseta here. Red is here. Ed is here. Ed is, I don't know, anybody know where Ed is?
Not here.
Do we know where he is? And then Martha is not here because she resigned. And
No.
Lourdes resigned as well.
Yeah. Just real quick, do we have someone that's humbly volunteering for 8 minutes for tonight? I'll do it.
All right, great.
You did a good job last week.
Mhm.
Excellent.
I did.
All right, if we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. Mr. Cardenas, if you would please lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Followed by a short moment of silence, please, for your own personal intentions. Great, please be seated. All right. Do we have any public comments? No?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Officer Amador, good to see you. Hey, how are you? Nice to see you. Good, good, thank you. How have you been?
Good, good.
No dinner here tonight.
No, okay.
The 16th, and we have another free one on the 16th. And the 16th is here.
The order of business, deferrals, additions, and deletions. If anybody, if nobody has an objection, I would like to take the committee election and move them to item 8G at the end of the meeting, rather than disrupt the meeting with the new officers. So if we can finish through with this meeting, we'll have the elections at the end of the meeting. And then next meeting, the new officers will be in charge. Yeah. That would be the motion. Anybody have any objection to that, or does somebody second it?
I second
Okay, so it was seconded by, who made it? Seconded by Mr. Knickerbocker. All in favor?
it.
Any opposed? Okay, very good, thank you. All right, if we could please, number 6 would be reviewing the minutes from, what are we reviewing from?
Minutes of, all the minutes of minutes.
All the minutes that
Oh, there's minutes from various meetings.
We have, going back to 19 January this year, 1 December last year,
January
11/29 last year, 11/17 last year, 10/19 last year. All the way to the 9/12 last year, and 5/24 and 1/6.
Yeah, last January.
Okay. Now the meet, if I could, I guess this would be an order question. The meeting that was held last time, my understanding was no quorum.
Correct.
So my understanding was that there should not have been a meeting, practically speaking, because we didn't have quorum. That's the whole reason that we look for quorum, to discuss meetings, items that would be voted on. So if it was not in fact a meeting that was authorized, why would we vote on the minutes? Because there shouldn't have been minutes taken for a meeting that was unauthorized. Sunshine laws would prevent us.
It just didn't have a quorum. Quorum to vote.
No, that's not true. You have to have any discussion. The sunshine law prohibits you from meeting outside of having a full contingent of people by majority. So there should not have been a meeting,
It was functionally a subcommittee meeting.
or it was not, the agenda wasn't submitted at a subcommittee meeting.
Right, but at this point, okay.
It wasn't a meeting. So we'll table this for next week, and maybe we'll ask, maybe the new chair can address how they want to proceed, but my recommendation would be that we don't approve the meetings only because we'll get ourselves in trouble by voting on a meeting that was not authorized.
That was not a meeting.
Yeah, it was not a meeting. Yeah. So we'll go then back to, although by all accounts, I heard it was a wonderful non-meeting.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so we're gonna go back then to,
Again,
Yeah.
another again.
okay, so going back to January sixth, I understand there's some meetings here, you'll see on page 5. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes? That would be page 5 minutes from January sixth of 2022. I'm sorry, who made the motion? Ador, you made the motion. It was seconded by Mr. Borman. All in favor?
Aye. Are we gonna take each individual minute?
We'll just go through individually, because unless the people have an objection to just approving them. I think we have to take a vote on each set of
I
meetings.
wasn't here
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
Which one we just?
So we just did page 5, which is January 6th, 2022.
We have both of six.
Okay, and that was a motion by Pedro, seconded by Mr. Borman.
Yes, sir.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, the minutes from 1/6/22 are approved. On page 6, we have the minutes from May 24th. Okay, so I don't think we need to approve the minutes from the subcommittee because that goes to the recommendations are brought to the full meeting, so we don't need to approve those. The next one is 7, that's a subcommittee meeting. Those also do not require a vote because the recommendations are brought to the full committee for a vote. On page 9, we have 10/19/2022. Mr. Borman's meeting, and do I have
So we're
somebody?
saying that subcommittee meetings are not required to be voted. upon.
Right, with the subcommittee brings their recommendations to the full committee, so the minutes don't need to be approved.
Correct.
Motion to approve the 10/19.
Okay, that was
Second.
made by Mr. Fiallo and seconded by Mr. Knickerbocker. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, those minutes are approved from 10/19/22. We're now on to 11/17/22. That was a special call meeting that does require a vote, and do I have a motion to approve those minutes? That's on page 10. Mr. Gorman provided a motion to approve, seconded by Mr. Knickerbocker. And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, those minutes are approved from 11/7. Oh, sorry, any opposed?
I'm just abstaining because I wasn't here.
Okay. Let's see, that Judy abstained because she was not here for that meeting. So, but the rest of the contingent, all in favor. And then that brings us to 11/29/22. And do I have somebody who motion that we approve these? Mr. Knickerbocker needs a motion to approve, seconded by Mr. Fiallo. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so 11/29 minutes are approved. And then that brings us to the last one, which would be the 1 December meeting. And do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve it.
Mr. Pedro Fiallo makes a motion to approve, seconded by Mr. Knickerbocker. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then that motion passes. So that brings us up to date with all of our.
Really quick,
Minutes.
I wanted to clarify with Claire herself.
Mhm.
Subcommittee meeting, the minutes do have to be approved. But there's sunshine meeting, that's essentially why, I mean,
Let's go back to 5/24, which are the ones that we passed over as a subcommittee.
Right.
One that wasn't. was that-
I move.
Mr. Knickerbocker made the motion to approve, seconded by Mr. Fiallo. All in favor of the 5/24 subcommittee minutes? They are approved. And then that brings us to the 9/12/22, another subcommittee meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those? It was made by Mr. Cardenas and seconded by Mr. Fiallo. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and so those minutes are approved. Very good.
and for last meeting minutes, it does need an approval because it's still a record of attendance. That's what I'm being told.
Yeah, I think the record of attendance, the motion would be that we couldn't hold a meeting, and that's been our standard approach since I've been on the committee 4 years. If we don't have quorum, the meeting is canceled. But the attendance is noted, but these minutes are not in attendance, they're something else. So if we wanted to take a vote on the attendance solely, then these would need to be amended. So I make a motion that we relook at this at the next meeting. We'll pass that for now. Is that seconded by anybody?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Pio seconds that, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the 1/19/23 meeting for attendance purposes will be deferred until the next meeting, which will be held in March. Okay, so that brings us up to the new business. So, new business, and this is something that we've spoken about. I think we've outlined when these events take place, and it was Mr. Knickerbocker that made the observation.
Yes.
That on some of these days, unless we move it to the weekend, either preceding or following the event, we're gonna run the risk of not having anybody in attendance because kids are in school and people are at work. So we might want to take a look at these dates to see if in fact they match up, because we just pick dates based on the day of the holiday rather than the day that would be best suited to host the event. So if we could, we'll just go with the first one, which is Arbor Day, Friday.
On Arbor Day, I've had second thoughts about that one,
Mhm.
in that, okay, we don't get a big turnout for Arbor Day anyhow, and it's really, it's kind of a private thing for us as a committee,
Mhm.
putting a tree in for an individual
Mhm.
as a celebration of Arbor Day. You know, whether we want to move that from Friday, which is the actual Arbor Day, to the weekend. I don't know that that's necessary. We've never had a big crowd for Arbor Day, other than the people that we're honoring.
Mhm.
Okay, and that family, and to me, it's been kind of nice.
Mm.
Having that family attend with us
Mm.
and the, I won't call it camaraderie, but the distinctive honoring of their relative seems to be something that is private to the community.
Mm.
And I think as the committee representative of the town, I don't know that that's something that we would call a celebration.
I agree with you. It's a small celebration, you know, in the evening, maybe after 5 o'clock, whatever, sure. That's the way it was in the past, even before the committee had the Arbor Day event.
Mhm.
And Gary used to conduct it every day. That was my first time involved with the committee, to go to Arbor Day.
Mhm.
And,
So I'm inclined to say, keep it on Friday. I'm looking at the rest of them. And
So let's, if we could.
we're only talking about two more.
Yeah, so let's just go through Arbor
Okay.
Day. The suggestion was, move it, don't move it. Bill brought up some excellent points, seconded by Larry. Does anybody feel differently, like they'd be better suited, move to a weekend?
Is it generally a daytime event or is it an after work time event?
It's a daytime.
Like early?
We have to work.
So it's 6 o'clock or something?
Yeah.
Early evening.
But I'm saying that we've done, historically, we've had it during the day, but we could do it later in the afternoon.
Early in the evening.
When do we move the clocks ahead for Arbor Day?
That's
That
right,
should be-
after that, that's right, sorry, it's right.
Okay, good. All right, so we can, what do you think about the notion that we fine tune the time, but we'll leave the date the same? Yeah,
Perfect.
I'm
okay.
good for that.
All right, so the motion will be Arbor Day event on Friday, April 28th.
March 12th is the time for the clock.
Oh, good, okay.
Time to be.
Yeah, time to be
It's
determined.
March 12th,
All right.
so it's gonna be right.
So Colonel, if we said that Friday, April 28th, Arbor Day, time to be determined, the motion is to keep that date the way it is. Is that, I make the motion that we keep it the way it is, seconded by Mr. Pedro Fiallo, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so Arbor Day will be celebrated on the 28th. Next is Monday, May 29th, Memorial Day, typically a federal holiday, and the kids are not in school or they are in school?
Not,
They're not.
They're not.
All right, so that, do we agree that it would be appropriate to maintain that on
Yes,
that day, or?
that's what.
It's not, it's a federal holiday. It's not,
Yeah.
it's not a state holiday or a business holiday. I mean, I think this is what brought this up. I think if we do these weekend ones or like September 11th,
What did we do last year? I mean, this past.
last year it was on a Sunday
Yes,
and it worked out really
it
well.
really did.
And I'm
It
inclined.
was
to-
because the day fell on a Sunday.
Because the
Yeah.
day fell on a
Coincidentally,
Sunday.
yeah.
And Sunday seems to be the day that we get
the most participation and the best turnout. And
I think we should move,
I think we should move to
Memorial
Sunday,
Day to Sunday, to celebrate, the memorials.
the Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
Right.
And then as well as
28th.
11th on Sunday as well.
Would there be any reason that we don't want to do that? It seems like the general agreement is, let's have it on the Sunday prior, but is there some reason that we wouldn't want to do that?
I think we want to do it on Memorial Day weekend. I think that's
Okay,
Yeah, the Sunday of.
the Sunday of Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
You know,
Don't say they do it on the weekend.
Yeah.
I know some folks.
no, I think it's a good idea.
Same thing goes for September 11th, we could do it on the Sunday of.
Yeah.
September 11th.
But as we go, then looking at Memorial Day on moving Monday to the Sunday, the May 28th. That's, does anybody have a dissenting opinion on that? If not, then we'll make a motion. I'm sorry.
My only thing, and it's not even my place to say anything, I guess. But
Sure.
if you guys are worried about attendance, since that's a busy holiday, you know, people leave the state, people leave town, but if that's the only thing I can.
Well, the people we don't
But that's
get
for any
because they
holiday.
left somewhere aren't going to be back for Monday.
Right, I'm saying if that's the only.
Yeah, and a lot of people that stay here are gonna get up and they're gonna go to church on Sunday and then they're gonna be here. And they're looking for something for the rest of the day. Okay, and if we plan it in advance and it's
Yeah.
publicized, they're gonna be there.
Okay.
Is the American Legion gonna do their thing that day too on that Sunday?
We just do this together.
Okay,
We don't do it separate.
So if we do it on,
We do what you do.
so if we do it on Sunday, you guys are gonna do it on Sunday too.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So the motion then would be to move it to the Memorial Day celebration for the town, in the town of Miami Lakes will be conducted on May 28th. Time to be determined, but we'll move it from the proposed Monday. I make a motion that we move it to Sunday. So seconded by anybody? Seconded by Mr. Fiallo. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now, Monday, September 11th, Colonel Perez mentioned that in keeping with the same philosophy we used for Memorial Day, do we want to move Patriot Day to Sunday?
Even more so because it's not a federal holiday.
Yes.
And the whole idea of laying out the flags on Saturday, we're gonna do that again, I assume we are. Gives us the kids and all the other help that we got on Saturday, and then we do it on Sunday. And it fits right in with people's weekend.
Hmm.
It's,
Okay. Is there anybody?
Monday's not a federal holiday.
Right, would anybody disagree with that? Would anybody want to maintain that it's held on Monday, September 11th instead of Sunday, September 10th?
I guess when we publicize it, we should. Like, we're just September 11th and September 10th, so we gotta really make sure our message is
It's clear.
clear and makes sense to
On Sunday, we will be.
commemorating.
Yeah.
Honoring Patriot Day.
Yes.
It's easier to say and dig into the Patriot Day verbiage
Yes,
than say celebrating or honoring 9/11 because then you're putting a date up there that's not gonna be accurate.
right, it's
So
like we're, yeah,
Okay. So the motion then,
Don't we do for Veterans Day?
you do.
right.
would you like to make a
Right.
motion then?
That's all right.
Mr. Borman has made the motion to second. Judy, would you like to second the motion?
Second.
So Judy has seconded the motion to move Patriot Day to Sunday, September 10th. Okay, Sunday, November 5th for Veterans Parade. Obviously, we're not going to move that one, assuming that Veterans Day is later that same week, Thursday, or the 11th. So that means the Veterans Day is what, Saturday?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the Saturday, so. I would-
Okay. So is there some reason why we wouldn't have the Veterans Day Parade, given that it's on a weekend, on a Saturday? This says it's on Sunday because.
Yeah, it's always.
It's always
Sunday
a Sunday
prior.
prior to.
Yeah, but is there some reason?
It is the weekend.
So it's Sunday to Friday, Sunday prior.
Just because that's the way we've always done. it.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily, that's not a good argument. But is there some reason why we could, would, or wouldn't want to do it on Saturday?
Could be the availability of bands and other issues, so we need to see what the conflicts. the folks who are in
Can you
play.
check with the subcommittee of the Veterans Parade meeting?
Yeah,
They'll have some issues.
yeah. Well, why don't we do this, if that's okay with everybody? We can table this for the next
Right.
meeting. That way allow us to do a little bit of research.
I'll bring it back to my boss. If there's any-
Motion to table.
Okay, the motion was made to table by Mr. Fiallo, specifically talking about Veterans Day and why we could or could not have it on a Saturday instead of a Sunday, given the fact that it would be on a weekend and it would actually be on Veterans Day. So that's gonna go back to somebody at Town Hall. That was motioned by Mr. Fiallo and seconded by Judy. Bill. Mr. Knickerbocker seconds that.
You just
And all in favor?
Aye.
Yes, okay, all right, very good. Any opposed? No, all right. And then the December twenty twenty-three marvelous, fantastic Toyota headquarters, Toyota Reindeer Run.
Right.
Is there any reason why we wouldn't want to do it in December? No,
No.
so,
We need to start talking,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, we need
Thank
to talk
you.
about
Yes, third.
a potential date.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
gonna get with.
I mean, can we not just look at the calendar and throw something up
There's a
on
lot
the?
of mitigating factors that I want to talk about.
Other runs.
It's the company that's going to help promote it, they actually do the run, the coordinate with their schedule. I mean, there's other things.
But in other words, if we're gonna talk about,
We do want to keep it on.
For
a
planning
Saturday or a
purposes.
Sunday. They stay with the Saturday
Yeah.
plan on that, everybody, or does
Okay.
anybody have a reason like to do it on Sunday? I don't, it doesn't matter.
So,
Like the Saturday, okay, stay on Saturday.
Mhm.
So it will be some Saturday, December, we can narrow that down. Saturday.
And we don't want it- we don't-
I'm voting for the 16th.
I need to see, when you look at the Dade County Schools calendar, because I know all the, we lose all these kids and the schools really killed it this time, so, let's see. Dade County.
what were the final numbers on attendance? Did we get one?
631, I think.
Wow, amazing.
Mm.
I have a reason for suggesting the 16th.
Okay.
Our meeting is on the 9th,
Oh, yeah, we don't want to miss it again.
and I don't like to miss this.
Are you gonna run?
Oh my God.
I'll
I mean, I can use a little competition.
walk in it. I mean, I'll shuffle along.
Oh, that sounds like you just threw the gauntlet down there.
I'll
Yeah, what is that? Huh? Yeah.
Larry, I think you.
All right,
I'll
so,
shuffle along. It's not that, I mean, I can.
so just for planning purpose, so we have a date,
Give me
some date. that
something to
we're-
get in shape for.
Yeah, so that we have some dates that we're working with. Judy, you're,
I'm just.
it was
looking-
suggested that, the Saturday work better, it doesn't conflict with, the churchgoers. That's probably one reason why it would be good.
Right.
you know. And then we definitely want it on a weekend, and we don't want it too, close to to Christmas. Because people want to be doing shopping and whatnot, right? So do we have a couple of dates?
One second, I'm getting into the Dade County School calendar. It's really important that they're not out on break yet.
No, right, okay.
I think they go and break the 18th.
You don't want to get it too close to Christmas because a lot of people are doing the last minute shopping,
too.
this, that, and the other. We're better off, I think, towards the beginning of the month.
Yeah.
Probably out around the 20.
You got 2, 9, and 16.
Oh, there we go. 2, 9, and 16,
Those are the Saturdays.
okay. I think how about this? We just put that up there and we'll just go 2, 9, and 16, and we can just leave it at that. But I agree that it's probably better
Wait,
to,
2, 9, and 16?
are the Saturdays.
Saturday, 29 is.
Oh.
Those are the Saturdays.
Yeah, I'm sorry, this calendar is only Monday to Friday on it. Oh, yeah, 2, 9, 16, and those are all great. School ends on the 22nd this year.
Great. okay.
Yeah, it is.
So how about this? We can we say that the second is, the weekend following Thanksgiving?
Right.
And so maybe that would not be the best time to do that,
That'd be a great time.
because people are traveling and then they're traveling back home.
They're gonna travel anyway, but the idea right after Thanksgiving, that's when people start to think about
It's a whole week.
over the age, getting a little bit of shade, being involved. Run.
But I'm saying that people, we're
Thanksgiving
getting,
is the whole, school's out
We're-
the whole week.
what I was saying,
School's out the whole week. That's a good date to set.
what I was
No,
saying,
no, it's not the Saturday after. Thanksgiving.
November 23rd is Thanksgiving, a whole other week. November.
You got the Saturday between there.
November 23rd is the turkey trot.
Would be from the second is the.
But everyone
first-
will be back.
It's the second Saturday after Thanksgiving.
I think the 9th was the 10th, this last year was the 9th, sounds like, a good target as option 1.
and what about the
Is
16th?
that when the Army Navy?
That's
goes
when
in?
we are.
16th is too close to Christmas?
Listen, it's not about,
No,
it's about when you guys want to.
So let's do option 1, the 16th, and option 2, the 9th.
Perfect. So,
That's
Judy made a motion, the,
We're waiting.
16th and the 9th as the potential date. We're not voting because we have 2 dates. So, seconded by, Pedro, so 16 would be our preferred date, and the 9th would be the backup.
What happened to the second?
We
We'll
threw
do
that out.
that
Too
one out.
close to Thanksgiving. Too close to Thanksgiving.
All right, so,
Your logic does not apply
Yeah.
here.
yeah, so 16th, and then Pedro made the motion, was seconded by,
I made the motion.
Judy made the motion, seconded by Pedro, and all in favor?
I,
Okay, so that passes as the potential date 16th and the 9th. That moves us to, new business, old business.
You can check around to see if any other big races.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
he's gonna do that with the
Yeah.
vendor, that's,
Yeah,
that's
one of
the
the-
next stage of that.
That's like-
Have the competition, it's the route. and-
Yeah.
And you definitely have a base to build off of because of the success of the event.
And we haven't done it, they have it, they have all the runners, we have everybody hit them and market to them now.
Right, that's fantastic. Really, that was quite a remarkable job. I know we've said it a few times, but you really almost single-handedly put that on your back and walked it from beginning to end, Judy. So really, thank you. Thank you for our committee and thank you for the town of Miami Lakes. You were marvelous and fantastic. Really, really amazing.
Julia, Larry, and me.
They check us, they check us and then.
Mhm.
Larry, Julia, and me when I run.
If I don't get sick, I got one.
Okay, Gary, you.
Okay, so this is new business B, but really, this should be item number 9, and this should be old business. Because these are things that we talked about previously, so we just misnumbered it. So instead of being subparagraph B, new business, just we'll strike that for accountability purposes, make that number 9 and retitle it old business. Okay? And so, and since we're talking about old business, if I could, please, I know we kind of missed the mark at the beginning, but I would like to add, in here as well, since we're talking about, no, I can't do it there. I would like to add the monument that was approved by town council in July of 2022. I would like to add that to the old business and make that G. Now, we made G was.
No, he is
election.
Yeah, G was the election, so I'll make this,
H.
I'll make it, I'll make G if I can, the election, H, the elections.
Or G, you should probably.
And I'll make
do the-
G the monument for the park. So G will be monument for the park, and then elections will just make its own paragraph as number 10. So the elections will be number 10, and then G will be the park monument. Doesn't make it too confusing. All right, so financial reimbursements. This is old business, honorarium for the Veterans Day singer. We had started that practice. We were paying out of pocket. We had discussed this prior to the event, and then we didn't have the money, and there was talk about we needed to move a line item to pay Miss Natalia Pies, who came and sang at both the opening and then again at 3 hours later at the ceremony. So, and you know, I did make mention, I said, you know, thank you so much. We paid her for the previous event that she had been to. And so I made mention, you know, thank you so much. You were so wonderful. We'd love to have you back, and, you know, we'll include an honorarium, which we never gave her. So my understanding was that we didn't have money in the line item because we expended all of our money for the, and we were waiting for an accounting of the Thanksgiving Day event before we could decide whether we had the money to pay her. And if we didn't, we were gonna have to move it from another event to pay her. So Jonathan, do you have an update on that?
So, but we can functionally scratch, I mean, all we're gonna cover the overages on the parade, so the memo to council for that, you can, I guess, scratch that out. And in the same breath, we're gonna be taking care of the honorarium and the school buses already, so. Yeah.
So what are we doing? Who's doing, who's we?
Town, the town.
The town?
It's in the communication budget, the parade that the overage is in. And the short-winded answer is that it's not really something that you guys are going to cover. I think that was the understanding before, so once that's clear, it was clarified to me pretty recently that.
Yeah, from the beginning, we never budgeted for this parade because it was the town that had the budget. We were not liable for expenses. It was brought to our attention around the time of the parade that we would be liable, which was at odds with what we understood, given the fact that we had never budgeted for the parade to begin with. So it appears that the town staff recognizes that we never budgeted, and they're gonna pay them for the items that were being discussed, which is the $50 honorarium for the Veterans Day singer will be paid by the town from their budget, because they're the ones that budgeted for it. And then the school bus, we had talked about setting a limit so that, you know, people weren't taking advantage, but it looks like that was somehow lost in the translation. And it appears that it's a non-issue, given the fact that Jonathan said the town would pay that as well, so.
I do just want to say, I believe going forward, we're gonna try to have the act. I don't know if any of you are familiar with how the 4th of July event functions, but town pays for the fireworks. That's the only thing that is assured for that event. Everything else is, you know, any bands or entertainment, that comes out of cultural affairs' budget. So what we're trying to think of is for next year and going forward, what are the, you know, not to throw out this word again, but the non-essentials, right? So it's, you know, we need cars, we need, you know, decals on the cars, we need, you know, trash pickup, everything else, whatever you guys think, the size of the stage maybe. That would be more so, under the purview of the veterans, but that also means that, I believe in April, we'll have to discuss the budgets.
And that needs to be clear in April because the bad taste in the mouth this past year for the Veterans Parade was that here we had a parade. The parade was something that the town wanted to have. It was a tradition. And we were unable to put things into the parade budget because the budget had already been settled and a good portion of it had already been obligated by the town.
Yeah.
And so we knew we were going to have an overrun. Okay, either that or there were things that weren't going to get covered, which is, you know, it's kind of like the budget deficit and the what are they calling it now when they change the debt ceiling? Okay, well, there was a debt ceiling issue associated with the parade. Okay, and in April, we've got to solve that problem so that we don't have a debt ceiling.
I believe the budget has been 6,000 for a number
Yes,
of
it
years.
has.
I don't-
Yes, yes, it is.
For me,
Yes.
so,
And then
I
grab,
think that's another
and
thing.
grab-
that we'll have to-
drops in
Yeah.
1,000.
And that,
In
and
prior years,
It's funny. Plus
Bowen
money.
was
Yeah.
a commissioner.
Did you try to get it?
Oh,
I wanted to got it
I
this year
do wanna-
for free.
oh, wow.
Renee is commissioner this year.
Yeah, right.
I want to ask him. He probably be able to give it to us. It's like $1,500.
I think what's happened, and in my observation, has been, we've developed a culture of us and them, where the
Right.
committee, the volunteers of the committee are on one side of the aisle, and the them are the town staff. And we lose sight of the fact that this is, we're all
together.
we're working on the same,
It's from the top.
we're doing this for the benefit of the town. There isn't an us and them, we're all have the same interest, which is to
To
promote, you know,
to have a
promote
successful.
to promote the joys of living in this town through successful supported events. And somehow that's gotten lost. Maybe we could get back to that at some point, but it, you know, the notion of the kind of, and, you know, never pointing a finger because, you know, you have several finger points. So I think there's probably blame on both sides, but the hope would be maybe going forward, we could kind of avoid that and maybe work in a more collegial way, because I felt like we lost that somewhere along the line. unfortunately.
so,
But all right, so Jonathan, to your point, then, we don't need to worry about that because
but also,
they're gonna be paid, yeah?
I
And
do
then
wanna
who's
say,
gonna pay the singer specifically? Because the idea that she'll be paid, you know, who's gonna actually call her up and give her the money? Is it gonna be, you're gonna take the check or the Visa card or whatever and give it to this committee and we'll do it? Or you're gonna reach
yeah, that
out to
could
her?
be as a conduit of, you know, the payment.
And when would that happen? Like by the next meeting?
All of that's being taken care of now, so probably by next meeting, because we were looking at these overages and it didn't look great.
Hmm.
So it's kind of all getting taken care of now, so by next meeting.
I know what you is.
Is there gonna be some kind of budgetary reconciliation that's needing going on between the town and the committees? So we can kind of lay out an actual real budget, functional budget for the parade, et cetera, going
I
forward.
believe that's happening right now, because
Okay,
we're,
so
we're,
you guys are trying to capture the costs
Yeah.
right now.
we're about to carryovers right now, or soon, because the years. it just started, but it's already February, so we're already creeping towards, the reconciliation for
So you guys should be
carryover.
at some time providing us like in April, here's a straw man budget for this event.
Mhm.
And it'll be in current dollars, not old dollars.
It's and not projected dollars.
Yeah.
But I did want to say very briefly, that $6,000 budget, it is supplemented 1,000 by the Grams. That is the only donation, or sponsorship that we got this year. I do want to say, maybe a lot of focus was on the reindeer run this year, and it was well worth it, clearly. But I think maybe for this year, we should, have a little love for that child as well. See how much we can get for that one too. Not that not getting sponsorship was the reason we went over, because everything is more expensive. Now, so it's like. Just trying to find ways that we can.
Well, the cost for the police support was not something that we bore, much as we know during the reindeer run, it was, $7,000-8,000. And so the $6,000-7,000 that's allocated wouldn't even cover the police,
How come it doesn't
because
get
it says
charged
it's
to the
done.
Veterans Day, but it gets charged
Yeah,
to the
that's-
reindeer run?
yeah.
Just curious.
That's a great question. I would,
Yeah, that's what I kind of mentioned. We need to reconcile the budget, how the town gives us a budget.
I mean, the argument was that the reindeer run was a town event, but it was, supported by the Veterans Committee, but to the benefit of the town. And so that was the same argument. But you're right, there's different rules that apply for different things. And a lot of the times, we're not part of the,
Making,
Yeah.
as to what's budgeted.
we're given, last year we did, you might remember, we went through some lengths to propose a budget, lay things out, and we passed that. And it was never even made it to the people.
And I think that's the concern is, don't provide us a budget that we can tell from right from the get-go will not achieve the task or mission desire. And so I would like to be able to have, the committee have input. Provide a draft budget and then let us go through it because we have the expertise, because we can think of what the sponsorship is. And we can provide input and then you can provide it back up as a conduit to the town folks saying this is what they think. Or this is what's missing,
And I think the previous 5K that the town had before this one, that was owned and run by a whole other kind of thing, and now it's the town's. The town owns it, town has it, so it may need to be reclassified and looked at, just like the Veterans Day Parade, that the town's now. So I'm like to get more data on that, and I make a motion to create a subcommittee for the Veterans Parade for fundraising, just a fundraising subcommittee.
Second,
Well, I mean, we're out, that's in November, the 11th, we're in January, I don't know. I think we're gonna have a few things between here and there. And I agree, I think that's a great idea, much like we did with the run, don't wait until September to start working
That
on
one
the
is
run.
subcommittee that,
Yeah,
that's her job. to do the
Yeah,
raising.
I think what she's saying is let's establish the framework. Let's not man it right
No,
now,
just-
but let's establish that we will have a subcommittee.
But we do, every year, we have,
We need to make.
but you're saying for financing.
9 months out, we don't know, I mean, we're starting like you're.
Although the discussion would be if in fact it was supported by the town, they had a budget to support the others. And then the police budget wasn't even included because they paid for that as well. So we might want to flesh that out a little bit before we jump on and say, hey, we're going to do the fundraising. Because a month later, we're going to be doing the fundraising for the reindeer run. So we're not going to be going back to the same people and
No, we have
saying,
different people.
right,
Yeah,
like, hey, give us the money. So I would suggest that that's the town's event. They've always funded it to date. So I don't know about us, stepping up and saying we'll be responsible for that. I would, this is a discussion point, is to let the town do what the town does. Let them do, they have people they get paid to do that, rather than lean on the backs of the volunteers. They've done quite well with it in the past, so let them do it, unless, we really want to take that on, would be the discussion.
Well,
Well, I think Judy was the fundraiser. Basically, what did the town actually raise towards the reindeer run?
A few $100.
oh, I don't know.
If you want to, you should raise.
Maybe
50,000?
$45,000.
Yeah, against
$45,000.
That's okay, no, and I only brought up that Jonathan said that we ran short, so he's kind of giving us a signal here that the town is only gonna pay for this, non-essentials are gonna kind of get cut, is what I feel from what you said.
Yeah,
So we have not, that we're,
Thousand ain't gonna do it.
that's the opportunity that I'm hearing, that's why I wanted to like,
And the thing is,
They
that we're-
pay for it.
yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think we should err on the side of caution. And we don't, I don't expect the town to come up and say, hey, here's our baseline budget and it has everything you need.
But going to your previous point, which you said we would like to have input into what the budget is. I think that would be the first line would be, we want to tell you what we think this event costs, so you can program it appropriately. And let them,
Bring it to
let
council.
them, you know,
That's
let them
assuming
pay for it.
they just don't throw our recommendations down this,
Circular file.
the circular file. And and that's my default, you know what I mean? Because we're not department heads, we're not, commanders, we're
Not
volunteers.
here.
So I mean, I think what we're gonna see in April, I guess, Jonathan, is you guys are gonna give us, here's the budget for the Veterans Day Parade, et cetera. And then what we have to do is, with our subcommittee, is figure out what's the shortfall. And where do we need to get the sponsorship money?
Well, and the other thing is, when we are looking for sponsors.
Yeah.
The other side of that is the sponsorship package. Okay, what is the sponsorship package for the reindeer run? What is the sponsorship package for the Veterans Parade? What is a sponsor
They're gonna get,
gonna come to the Veterans Parade with funds? And what are they gonna get back for?
Gary's
Okay,
gonna
because-
carry their banner.
Well, and,
Other
and
companies
see,
have
that's,
sponsors.
Bill,
He's gonna wear Santa-
that's exactly what I'm talking about, because they wanna get something out of it, if we're gonna get. If we're
No,
gonna,
you're absolutely right, of course they do.
Well, you know what's gonna happen, you're gonna have a Veterans Day parade with a shirt, and then on the back of the shirt, it's gonna have 8 logos from different corporate.
And that's
sponsors.
fine.
and that's fine if that's all they're expecting.
I mean, all awards are sponsored by some corporation,
That's right.
so.
I think the thing is, you get the subcommittee going early. You know, the company, is Jingle Bell Jog, 9 months asking for it. So if you were getting confidence, it's only February right now. But let's say by March, you start in June.
sorry.
If we get your subcommittee started early, so let's say by March, the other company started 9 months out, Jingle Bell Jog. We said 6 months out at the last meeting. Reality is 9 months out.
Yeah, we have
Probably
March.
good time to get started. So by that time, you should have your subcommittee formed, who's this going to be, and start getting your game plan together, including the town, what they're going to contribute, what all the expenses are going to be.
The other thing is, we don't want, I don't think we want the reindeer run and the Veterans Parade to compete with one another.
No, it won't.
Okay, so- and-
Sponsors never spoke
That
to-
requires that we think ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you. I really think that there's folks who are gonna be Veterans Parade, oh, I wanna be part of that. And there's folks who are gonna be reindeer run, every restaurant, because like we found out from this last reindeer run, is basically everybody finishes a run. They get the free piece of fruit, whatever, and then you wanna take off and eat somewhere.
Right.
Because that's the most exercise they've done in the last 10, 15 years. And so, I think every restaurant around Miami Lakes
That's a new.
really profit
approach to that, yep.
from that, and we really should target those, and we talked about in the last meeting, that wasn't a meeting. And, adding some of their coupons and part of the swag bag. Keep it.
Yeah.
This year, I'm gonna challenge Larry, Yuri, Matt.
I can't really have.
Yeah,
it.
so I mean, so one of the things we don't need really is a lot of food at the end of the run, although it was perfect this year. A little bit of fruit, a
And
little bit of
smoothie,
this,
the smoothie and the fruit.
and that's it. That way the people don't leave, they leave still,
No, they actually leave hungrier.
they leave hungry.
Because they've got that.
For example, people leaving early, you weren't even there to get you.
Yeah. whether-
But my concern would be that it's a town event that's been paid for by the town, so the $7,000 that are coming from the town currently doesn't include the $7,000 that they pay the police, so that's $14,000 right there. So we're gonna come in and say, hey, we'll volunteer to do the
Well, I mean, I
fundraising.
think, Michael, you're right. I think what we do is we say, no, we want you to pay what you used to pay. Don't change the budget. You included police support, you included whatever else they
Barricades,
did.
all that stuff, right?
Yeah, include all that,
The sound system.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly right. Don't change your baseline budget thinking that we're gonna get sponsorship. And I think from my point of view, I think that's a stronger argument that, that we can have. I don't think it's gonna end up in a circular file, They can't, I mean, they could, but in good faith, they shouldn't be saying, oh, no, we're gonna cut your budget and we want you to come up with a sponsorship money.
But what happened this year was, we had no say
We
in what the
didn't know
budget
until the
was.
last minute.
And at the end, we said, these are the expenses that we already have pending. Now you guys have to vote on these other things because you're gonna be responsible for them.
Yeah.
And our response was, why are we responsible? This is something that's paid for by the town. And the mantra going forward was, no, you have to pay for it. We said, we don't have a budget. We never budgeted.
Well,
for
I
this.
think what, by April, you guys should be giving us something, is that correct?
Yeah, that's,
So I think if we
That's
say
the
we're
goal.
gonna do a
yeah,
financial
that's.
subcommittee, it lets the town off the hook. They have money for these events. And so if we say, hey, we'll do it, they'll say, oh, great, good, you guys do it, and we'll save the $15,000-$20,000
They
for
want
something else.
When we say that you're having this, in order
If
to
we can get, if we could get sponsors, it's just.
Added stuff.
Right, now you can get a float, you can get floats, you can get flags.
If we clarify what we have this event for, the specific benefactor that we want to talk about, what this event for. So when the town reaches out and tries to take money out of what money we collected from our sponsors, they're in effect taking it from our benefactor, which is to be determined. So hopefully that by the end of this meeting, we'll get an idea of what we're going to do with that money. And then, of course, the town will then have to double think before they start taking money,
But-
not from the Veterans Committee, but from the
Yeah, but-
benefactor we were giving.
No,
money.
but what they've done in the past is, they'll get $5,000 from headquarters Toyota. And we have our $5,000 that we have 3,000 allocated. They'll go ahead and take that, they'll take the money and pay all the expenses with the sponsorship money. So at the end of the year, they haven't touched our line item because that's been reserved. They paid for it with this. And then if we don't spend it, which because now it was dedicated for that, we have to go to town council and look for other ways to spend it. Then they just take that back.
They basically say they do it in the committee rules right there. It's
Yeah.
written. So, I mean,
But I'm saying that if we volunteer to take it away from them, they'll be more than happy to give it to us.
Okay, yep, I got
So
you.
I'd say let them, they pay for it. It's a town event. It's not a veterans committee event. It's a town event.
Okay, I
Let
want
the
the
town.
police pay for the 5K. Let's
Yeah.
put that in, just, but it's for the council.
Good question.
The police for their 5K.
Quick question.
Put
Jonathan,
$7,000 back into the.
what happened to the Veterans Day parade t-shirts?
Oh, the extra ones.
The extra ones, what money they paid or what?
Do we know what the outcome of the
I
shirts
don't
was?
think we sold a lot, that's the only. thing I have.
They ones that you would never sell.
Like this looking shirt.
Probably seeing the way I would actually sold up.
All right.
Give it away.
Yeah, we'll give them away. Yeah.
Reconciliation of the 5K now.
I think we're close to it, for after we.
Okay.
Lost out of the way.
And see, William, William, this is one of the issues that Jonathan is talking about, is that the budget is invisible to us. We don't have any oversight. We don't know what the numbers are. We're still dealing with, we don't know what was spent going back to. Yeah, so we don't know. It's kind of, it's like, it's not really, and it's not that people are being secret about it, but they're balancing. So we never know what the number. So at the end of the year, we said, hey, our calendar year is coming to, our fiscal year is coming to an end. What do we have left? Nobody can tell us.
Well, Jonathan just told me that they're around 25,000 for the net proceeds, and I'm more around 32,000,
Yeah.
so we gotta look at it and see where everything came out, but it's not ready yet.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so going to the, so that those two items are gonna be paid and perhaps we can, ask about those next meeting. Where's the money for the honorarium and what happened with the school? Assumedly, they're dealing directly with the school, but the honorarium would require actually contacting the young lady and giving her a check or giving her cash. Or credit card or whatever. The memo to council report is due March 14th.
Right.
So on the March 14th, we're going to highlight what we've done and not done over the last, is this it's supposed to be every 6 months?
Right, it's written into the rules, we have a calendar now, I didn't.
Yeah, that's what I don't know, but it means it's supposed to be every 6 months, and I don't remember the last time we did. I think it was July of,
No, actually, your last report was, it was before the reindeer run. When you asked council, just let the funds be with us until we can figure out proper.
anyway. March 14th is the memo to council, and so the chair will just take our events and just provide a brief summary to
So we
council.
have 2 more meetings before you have to finalize, before the new chair has to finalize that report and go before council, yes? Or the 14th?
One more.
Well, I don't know the March,
March, whatever, yeah, that's it.
I don't know when March 14th, what day that.
What-
We have one.
one
So
meeting.
we do have our first meeting before that.
Oh,
Yeah, one meeting report.
Our deadline is March 8th, but we meet before that.
no,
Is there a format for that
The memo,
report?
I can send you it's really just you going up.
Hmm.
Saying this is what we've done.
Yeah, I think that's something like that.
okay. All right, then we'll go on to the storage containers for the, I'm not sure, I thought this was you guys might remember, I'll just.
Yeah, that's for the big flags. not
Yeah, the little flags, you might remember,
Okay.
people remember what happened with that?
Yeah, we talked about it, everything.
They're over in the Mary Collins Center. What we're talking about here are the flags, the ones that we bought from Gary.
Yeah.
Gary got for us.
Right, right. Where are they currently?
They still.
Right now,
There's
yeah.
Mary Collins.
One flag's over here, laying under a pile of stuff, another stands over there. They're not stored anywhere, and I don't know what kind of shape they're in. If we needed to use them for an event or pull them out for whatever,
Mm.
they're wrinkled, they're probably getting
Right.
dirty. They're not in a very good place.
Right,
Initially, we said that we may store them, we were talking about putting them here on, maybe against the wall. They only stick out a few inches.
Right.
And it would keep them nice here, because they'd be in a temperature,
right,
humidity controlled environment.
That's a good idea.
They would stay a lot nicer.
Yeah.
And they could stay right against the wall, wouldn't cost the town a penny. You object to that, I think someone mentioned that, again, they want, allow it to wind up in one of the councilman's office upstairs or whatever. But, I don't want that be the case. So there'd be two options, in my opinion.
well, they have a very heavy base, too, right,
There'd be,
yeah,
there'd be two
Yeah,
options, in my opinion. Either allow us to put them against the wall here, which would look very nice. Or the second thing, let's buy some sort of container over at Home Depot, put them in so they can be stored over at Mary Collins Center without being destroyed with the rest of the things being kept over there.
Mm. Yeah, then they have a sheet, that covers the flag, typically, we don't have those.
Yeah.
So it would, if we're gonna stand them upright in the base, we would have to just put
Those
them,
are more expensive.
yeah, we would have to put them in a sheet, if we're not gonna do that, we have to lay them down and roll them up and put them in a
Two
box.
eagles that broken wings on.
Yeah, and then we had a heck of a time finding a place to put the little flags, the 3,000 little
That's
flags.
taken care of.
I thought that.
Yeah,
And
but I'm
one
saying
more
it's
on
different.
that, and one more on that, there's 3 flags over at the Coast Guard Center. I believe we have room in the same containers to store those, another 2,000
Oh,
flags.
great, yeah. Are they the same size that will
Yeah.
complement what we
Those
have?
were donated to our post.
But are they the same size?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
The flags would look nicer if they were.
When are they coming over?
We have to pick them up
We have to pick them up when?
This weekend, because the new adjutant or executive officer over EXO over at the station is kicking the auxiliary out of the station.
I volunteered in any way, but we.
Wait, so saying you're not necessary?
Well, they're telling them they can't meet there anymore and they've got to give up their storage space.
Oh, wow. All right, so Larry, I'm sorry, then the storage containers, you have something in mind, or is this
So
something
there were
that's?
two things. Well, I believe that those flags can be stored in the current. containers that we
Yeah,
have.
those flags are.
We have room for that.
You're talking about the little ones.
Yeah.
I'm talking about going back to the big ones.
The big one, my first idea would put them on the wall in here, no expense, just a matter of putting them there. I mean, they said before we could keep things in this room, and I don't know who would object to it, but I think we need permission.
We have to get Mr. Peterman to address that through Jonathan, so.
Something that you mentioned also that they'll look really nice on our Zoom.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
like-
really,
those
really.
we can see on Zoom, it's okay.
Excuse me, Gary, how many flags are there?
80.
8 flags, and 2 of them are broken already, the.
No,
Yeah, the eagles on top.
No, you the eagles on top, one of them might glue back together for something.
Yeah, the eagle.
Well,
So anyway, are we talking about putting them in a sheet and putting them here, or just, we don't even need that, we're just storing right there? So if that's approved through the town, they're not our flags, they belong to the town. They're the town's flags, so really, but,
Babysitter.
but going back to your point that you've made on previous occasions, us hand bringing to figure out where to put the flags, they're not our flags. They belong to the town. So we should turn them over to the town and say, figure out what to do with your flags, rather than taking that on us and then trying to
Well, we
get approval.
basically did that, and that's why they're in the condition they're at now.
I got you. All right, so,
Because no one's.
yeah, nobody did it. So basically, we're
Yeah, but that
proposing,
would be out of
the
the law.
flags belong to the town. We recognize that there's an issue, and we'd like to store them in an upright position here. Have them on display and stored here. We're not storing
Yeah,
them.
cared for as an asset should be.
They stick out 12 inches.
So that's number one. We want to keep the
Which is
flags
less than the
here.
chair sits out.
Yeah, we want to keep the flags here if that's permissible. If that's not permissible, is there another space in the building that we could store them?
If it's not permissible to put them hanging up, the second choice would be we would need to purchase some sort of container,
right.
to put them.
And then we'd have to take that through the committee and then vote and.
Line item, move money.
Yeah, yeah. So the first order of business would be to ask the town staff, whoever it is that oversees placement of these, and can we put your flags in your building? And they're not our flags. Yeah, whatever. The flags belong to you guys. We're telling you that they're gonna be in poor condition if they're left where they're at. And we're highlighting that probably for your sake, it would be a good idea to put them somewhere. You know, so, and you could relay that message to whoever and come back.
And we're gonna talk about in a few minutes, would be the Battlefield Cross. It's not gonna be in the park right away on a stand, it's gotta be stored somewhere. It needs a place to be somewhere where it's not gonna get banged up.
Yeah, let's save that one till we get it. So currently, yep, so currently the flags, we would like to have them, where our suggestion would be, you could store them somewhere.
Display,
Here,
store them.
here might be a place, but we don't know what storage facilities you have in this building, what office space you have in this building. Could be an empty office, you can put them there, a closet, you can put them in there. So what we're highlighting is where they're at currently is not a good place for them to be stored. That's the thing. So if you could please take that back to, you know, whoever it is you talk to and ask, you know,
The decision
what
has to-
happens with
The
them.
decision has to be reached sooner rather than later.
Yeah. And then so,
Before
Well,
they
in
get messed
April,
up.
it'll
Yeah.
look nice.
so if we could, for
You
the
would want
the
it
people,
okay?
yeah, for people in attendance,
Okay,
for people in attendance, we're gonna have to revisit this
Yeah.
next meeting to find out what the response was. All right, the next is process for requesting community support from local military units. Somebody put this in as an agenda item.
I did.
Oh, and what is that?
Basically, I need to ask Jonathan in the meeting right now. We want to request tactical vehicles for the Veterans Day Parade. And normally you got to request several months out for them to be able to do it. And my question is, what's the process? So let's say we draft a letter to be signed by who? Obviously, it's not going to be a committee person. It has to be somebody from the town. So we'll forward that letter should it be for Peterman, the town manager.
I would have to look, I don't know the process historically. And
I think your
process would be great.
Yes. The problem exists because of these people. They're not from a club or organization.
each person.
Each person owns a vehicle. And
No,
each-
No, I don't think that's what Bill's talking about.
Yeah,
Bill's talking about like
Requesting from the unit.
go through the National
Requesting
Guard.
from the National Guard, I'm requesting from the National Guard, I'm requesting from the Coast Guard,
Okay.
I'm doing what's it called, the community support,
Yeah,
for, community relations thing. If there's a recruiting event, it's under the community relations orders that every single service has.
right. Okay.
So do you
So,
mean, and
so it'll be basically, there'll be a letter from the town requesting, support for the Veterans Parade as part of community relations program for the service. So it'll be Coast Guard unit, the Marine I&I unit, or National Guard unit, and to provide one tactical vehicle with a driver and an A driver.
is this in the context of the parade?
The context of parade.
Or
we could
and
use
for any?
Right, but right now, we're gonna go for the parade. So, anyway, so my question is what's the process? I can draft that letter. I mean, I've approved many of them, so I know how they look like,
I like that for the bike too.
you know?
But okay, I'm glad that you
And
specified units and not just.
Yeah, no, it's not individual, it's units.
Because then, yeah, that's.
And then, and I can find the addresses that I need to send it to.
Right.
Or how I can get it. And then,
You want to know how that letter moves.
To make it
yes,
so
I
they say
need it
yes.
signed by somebody
Okay.
with authority from the town.
Out of my own-
I can't. sign. So either it's whoever has the authority, it could be Clarisol, could be Peterman, I mean, whoever, I can draft it, send it to them, you guys chop it, make it nice, sign it,
Right.
and then I pick it up and then we get moving. So that's basically what I'm.
We have it around this.
Can we have that?
Reply.
in the team
Yeah,
too?
we
People
did.
really like those two Bradley things.
Thank you for.
Maybe.
Yeah, but it's not private
Yeah, right
individuals,
there.
it'll be for units.
Off 183rd Street, you got the Marine,
Right.
Navy Marine
I
Corps.
mean, I can send you an email and CC Peterman on it.
I'll ask for it.
Okay. I mean, I see that all.
You took it took me 30 days to get that picture approved. So like I said, finally approve it, so. I put it in.
Oh, okay.
30 days.
Yeah, you just gotta find out the process. Is. Okay, so next meeting, please let me know what the process is. The letters will be ready by then, and then we'll just have to figure out who we're gonna. Not really type right there, or you know, who's,
Whose letterheads or whose
yeah.
signature block's gonna be in the
Signature
bottom.
block. You guys can do the letterhead, and I'll have the letter all ready. And then we'll, go from there.
Very good, then that moves us to review the changes to the committee rules, which everybody now has a copy. You don't need to do that and occupy the time of the committee, but if you would take those home with you and see how it's changed or not changed, and then I suppose we can come back.
I think if I may.
Anything you wanna highlight?
Yeah, the biggest ones that we've been sort of trying to get around all the committees is the attendance. It used to be the 3 and your 3 strikes are out. It wasn't really effective because the very next council meeting would be, the member would be reintroduced to the council or to the committee, excuse me. Now it's just when it's becoming a problem, the committee and the chair has the ability to go to the council at any moment and say, hey, we have a problem.
Not many quorum because.
We're not getting quorum because, which is why Martha had came to me in person. Asking if she should resign, and I told her we don't want it to become a quorum issue because then we're going weeks without. Do you not have a copy of the rule?
I don't.
You don't have it? I guess.
So it's basically the attendance. It's only a problem when it's a problem. So we're not being quorum. You guys should go to your council members, let them know because that's gonna start affecting meetings.
Judy, you just Bill made some notes on here, so
And
I'll take a clean copy, that way.
And then the other bigger one, which. I don't think it should be a problem going forward, but. You know, the old policy was we like to receive agendas 7 days in advance, and with minutes, just so we can have them. It was kind of an arbitrary date because the sunshine required 24 hours. So we're closer to that now where we need an agenda at least 3 days in advance of the meeting. So we can properly, you know, put the agenda out so it's publicly noticed. Again, I don't see it being an issue going forward, because 3 days is. That's pretty close to a meeting anyways.
3 working days.
3 business days, yeah, correct. That gives us time to stitch the agenda, have it publicly noticed. If an agenda is stitched and then someone says, oh, maybe we should add this, that's more so in the deferrals, additions, deletions section where you can say, hey, I didn't get this in time. I would like to add this item to the agenda, which we're all pretty comfortable with. Did you all receive a copy of the Robert's Rules of Order?
Yes.
Yeah.
We can.
Just, well, at the advice of Felicia. And it's being the cultural affairs committee.
We called it a cheat sheet. That was interesting terminology for it.
Yeah.
When I look at it.
What, you don't think that's appropriate
No,
or accurate rather?
that was an interesting,
Just because we have new committee chairs, new members, it's a very helpful thing. If someone says, oh, what's the process of this? I mean, do try to stick to the process of, you know, the motions, the seconds. If you guys have any time to review that, that's.
All right. So I guess go ahead and take a look at this. It doesn't, and typically in the past, if they have taken some of the recommendations of the committee, but there is not an approval process of sorts where it comes through the committees and we vote on whether or not we think that's good. It's basically the staff is telling us these are the rules with some allowances made for input. So I'm guessing the review is just recognize that these are the new rules. Right. All right. We don't need, there's no, there's nothing that needs to be voted on then. All right, that does the review, the reindeer benefactor. Judy, is that yours or
Yeah, I can start.
what was the,
We've been tabling that, I think we need to get closer to deciding it.
I think one of the issues we were having was what the actual.
Make it company, yeah.
Okay.
My comment would be simple. I think that, you know, the amount of money that we have is really an insignificant amount when you look at the size of these charities that are out there. And I don't want to go into detail about how very little of it actually goes to the charity and what goes to the administration and the cost of running that charity. And we talked about a while before about keeping the money here in Miami Lakes and doing something here in Miami Lakes. And one of the things that I think that really would be a great thing to do would be to have a splash pad in Veterans Park and to identify that splash pad is something that identifies the park as Veterans Park on the pad itself. This was suggested by one of the councilmen also, that is also promoting it. We'd like to get it in next year's budget. It's going to be an expensive project. It's not going to be cheap. We're probably talking $500,000. But the amount of money I believe that we could raise between now and next year, between the next, this reindeer run and our next reindeer run, and maybe some other monies we could raise in between two sponsors, may be enough to pay for the facial, the actual, what goes on that thing. And I think this would be a lot more effective, more appropriate for that venue, that park, which is basically a kid's picnic park. It's made for little kids and families, and it's really not appropriate to put monuments in that park. Where something like this would be functional, kids could play on it, it'd be a lot of fun. Adults could go out there and watch it, and I wanted to get some time, do a little more research on it, and to be able to make a presentation to the committee and to the council, and maybe coordinate through a couple of the council members who would also like to do the same thing, to present that to the town for a later vote, to do that larger project.
Okay, so that's one, and that's been mentioned before. There was talk about using the monies and then carrying them over for the long-term projects. Judy, I think you had something to say about where the money goes and how you'd like to see it spent.
Yeah, I mean, I love that idea, but I feel like that the way we advertised the reindeer run, it was to benefit the veterans. I think it's different. I think it's a different thing. It's an awareness thing, but I want to benefit the veterans. And I don't want to dump it into, what's the huge one?
Like wounded warriors.
And that definitely was, but 25,000 and $500,000 is also nothing.
Awareness is a pretty funny thing. If you look at things like the Shriners, okay, what they basically do, they used to pay directly into things like burn centers in the hospitals, things like that, in the children's hospitals. And they switched some years ago to spending the millions of dollars that they collect, as opposed to sending it directly to the charity. Now they spend on advertising and creating an awareness. And I think by creating awareness, positive awareness, it'll basically for children to see, and maybe not so much to memorialize veterans. I think these poor guys died in their families, but a different light on veterans, a more positive light on veterans. The colonel and the parade, the good things that veterans do for the community, and to bring something out for the kids to have fun that's basically sponsored by the veterans would be in effect doing something for the veterans.
Okay, so that's one point of view. Judy, your suggestion is, rather than raising awareness, much like I think the banners were presented as, just raise awareness, let you know that veterans are part of the community, they're amongst us, their moms, dads, sisters, brothers. So that kind of gives a sense of community, like, hey, we're veterans, you're a veteran, I'm a veteran. That's one recommendation of how we could use money. But you specifically are suggesting that it be used to go directly to support veterans that have issues, or what's your thought with that?
Or like I've got.
And the only thing that
I'm sorry, Gary, not to cut you off, because we cut Judy off like three
I
times.
know, but just to add on to Larry, my only concern is $25,000 and $500,000. Where is he gonna say that this was for the veterans or?
No,
contributors
the
from the veterans?
a splash pad would be maybe 50 feet across, and the mosaic or the painting on the splash pad itself, there's a design on it. You ever seen them on Hollywood Beach?
No, I know,
Yeah,
I've seen it. I
there's a
know.
design on it, and would take an artist to design something, maybe a picture of the veterans statue in front of City Hall here, or something else that would indicate this is Veterans Park, maybe something for the
And-
acknowledge the different branches of the
Gentlemen,
military.
if I may interrupt, and I want to hear what Judy has to say. I know where you guys are going. So, Judy, please tell us what you have.
I love the idea, and I think I just don't feel it for this. I feel like this, my feeling is that this money should go to Miami Lakes veterans. And I've collected some information and some data on who lives in Miami Lakes, alive, ill, healthy, serving, retired. They're veterans of Miami Lakes. And I think we have identified like factual Miami Lakes veterans. I think we have an actual like registry, or at least factual list of however many people, maybe 35 people. I don't mind giving each one a direct endowment, have a short event and just thank you, you're a veteran. This is going to you, helping your life. Or we find Project Vet Relief, or we've used, Vet Info, what is that info? Vet Info, advocacy, education, information, and they had some kind of, I just feel like it needs to go local. Maybe it goes straight, maybe American Legion helps us make sure it goes to wherever it goes, but I want it to go local to people that are veterans.
One of the things, I like the idea, but the one thing we need to do is we need to vet these veterans. Because let me tell you, not all veterans are creative people. And some are not veterans, and some serve very little time, and some have no combat experience, and some have, some veterans are, reality is some veterans are more deserving than others,
So maybe put criteria, combat serving veterans. Let's get them out of it, extract them from the 35 or 209 members.
Those with I would go with
Silver,
those with combat, combat action, combat infantry badge, combat action ribbon. Those with Purple Hearts will be a priority, but you'll be surprised how very few we have of those.
That's right.
We probably have no Purple Heart recipients.
Oh, no, we had Purple Heart.
Yeah, we have.
There's an organization, within the American Legion of Operation Comfort Warriors. And what they do is they raise funds to buy the species and for those who are wounded. veterans.
They already get that for free from the
From the
VA.
VA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but some of these are special things that they.
And then when the warrior gets them, they'll build a whole house.
Right. Well, here's an idea, maybe scholarships in veterans' names.
That's a good idea.
Okay, so we have a veteran who served here in Miami Lakes. And we advertise for a scholarship from our local high schools here in Miami Lakes. And we award that scholarship to a youth coming out of a high school here in Miami Lakes in the name of a veteran. And the veteran is involved in the presentation. And the veteran, and so we recognize the veteran. And we allow the veteran to do something for another opportunity for that veteran to give back to his community.
so that's great.
That is an excellent idea.
But I would do that for the next one. I don't think we can go backwards on this one because we didn't say it's for scholarship. We said it was,
No, we said it was for veterans.
But
And-
it's
and-
helping a veteran's family.
No, it's not for
Right.
the family. It's the,
Well,
no.
well, it could
It's in the name of veteran, so, Sergeant,
We tweak it.
We could tweak it and say
And we get-
Veterans
a
kid.
veteran's family.
Well, it may not be his kid, but his kids, Mike.
His kids might be mine.
It may be his grandkids, it may be his nephew, it may be, you know what I mean?
Right.
We got less than 1% of the United States now serving, basically.
Right.
Right.
So we have to expand it. It may not just be children, but I like that idea.
So can we then go, anybody that's been combat action,
Right.
Or Purple Heart.
Do a rack.
We start looking
apply
at
into.
criteria.
Yeah,
We have a criteria, we have, those that we want to give to are those who are Purple Heart, Miami Lakes residents who have a relative,
let's call it like.
Hmm,
what do you call it?
family member who is attending college.
hmm,
So if they're currently enrolled in college
hmm.
or trade school.
Right.
Something like that, and
I
then
think that
we-
would serve, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, and then we just, and then if we get, then we fulfill the Purple Hearts at this
Mm.
level, maybe. And then combat action at this level, and then all others at
Yeah.
another level,
Yeah. I think that would serve the both purposes. It would support what you're suggesting, Judy, by supporting a veteran directly in the town of Miami Lakes.
Right.
And then it would go to Larry's point, which would
They get the
be
recognition.
to advocate for veterans in general, because they're gonna be aware that there's a scholarship. And I'll tell you, my daughter did when she went to school a couple of years ago, 20-something years old now. There was a young man that died as a teenager, and his family started an endowment in his name. And then that was advertised in the school, and you had to write an essay and demonstrate the characteristics that made that kid. And so, people, would do that and submit them, and then from the submissions, they picked.
I don't
You know,
even
two
think
or
we
three.
need to do that.
You're just gonna reach out to them.
We're just gonna, if your uncle, granddad, whatever, is a Purple Heart recipient, and you're in college, and he doesn't have a child in college or whatever, or, et cetera. You're a nephew or niece or however.
We'll have to fine tune that. a
Yeah,
little
we
bit.
think it's.
As anyone may, you know.
Yeah.
Parents, brother, sister,
Yeah.
cousin.
Yeah, I tell you,
Yeah.
yeah, well, it may end up being that way because so very few people serve.
Yeah.
But it's somebody that it's not gonna be somebody they don't know.
Oh, we're gonna wrap this up. Let's table this, but I think the scholarship idea is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you're directly supporting and you're advocating like Larry's here, so I think it
We
needs
just need to
all
flesh
of
it out.
Yeah, okay,
Next meeting.
so we'll do that.
We may have a recently discharged veteran in Miami Lakes
I think we do.
who could use a scholarship.
Yeah. He may, I can think of one right now, is Marine, I can think of who has
Okay.
young kids. And maybe they don't have to be in college right now, but put in one of those educational funds,
Right.
Yeah, great idea. So we're gonna table this, and I think it sounds fantastic. The discussion's fantastic, so good.
If you like to go to the elect.
Yeah, right. So, but last one is the park. Jonathan, you had taken that over from Isle. It was approved by town council in July of 2022. Now we're into February. What's the latest with that monument?
We have the pedestal, the statue itself,
You have the statue itself?
it's in Mary Collins.
Okay, and we have the plaque with the wording that we voted on?
So we have the voting, we never voted on the expenditure. I have something going around right now. So the foundry that makes the statue itself gave us a rendering
Mhm.
and a number of 1565.
Yep.
And you can see my chicken scratch on the side. It would leave us from the $10,000 that council approved us for.
All right, I see. So, yeah,
It leaves about almost $700.
yeah. So the council, we had asked for $10,000 to support the monument. We found that the monument, you might remember, cost $8,000. So we did a little bit of research and found the same thing actually by a sculptor who is more well-known and had his items in bigger, and better places than the one that we'd originally identified. We went then with that monument, which was the same battlefield cross, which then resulted in a saving of $3,000. So then when we put the monies together with the pedestal and the statue now, you see came to a total of $7,700, which is what we've spent, which left us $2,000, and the plaque is about $600. So
The plaque is in the top left corner, 1565.
No,
This
wait.
plaque, which is-
wait a minute, is that not because I thought when we spoke with them.
66 is after that 1,500 is the excess we have left.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought the plaque, when we spoke with them, was a $600 addition.
I believe the $600 was for a standard plaque that they had. Once we finalize our wording.
Oh, this is well within the budget. I mean, we got 600.
Yeah, we still have money left. We still have money left. So what do we need to discuss? Anything at this point?
I guess just to greenlight the actual payment.
Okay.
Correct.
Motion to, make.
All right, second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so very good. So that's been approved. Now we'll get to the elections. We have there's three positions that are open, which is the chairperson, the vice chair position, and the secretary. We requested permission to include a treasurer because we thought it would help, because we identified that this was a problematic area because we never knew how much we had, we didn't have. Gary took that on, we voted him in as having previously served as a vice president in the banking industry. Yet he had a very difficult time trying to bring that and close the loop. So I don't really know if in fact a treasurer is necessary. We tried it as a solution to not getting two-way dialogue, and it didn't work. So we could give up, or it's just, it might be better if the chairperson takes it on and deals with town staff and elected officials directly, rather than doing it through a treasurer. Mr. Fiallo.
Michael Cook as a chairperson.
That is very kind of you, and I wanted to say this because I really enjoyed my tenure here, but unfortunately, this year has been very difficult, and I thank you, I really do. And it was a tough decision, but I thank you, Pedro. And I really think that the team did a great effort. But I lost my sister earlier in the year. I brought her home and cared for her at home. And then a very short time afterwards, my mother, I brought her home, and then she passed a couple of days before Christmas. So it's been a very trying year and I tried to keep a happy face throughout, but emotionally it's been very difficult. And I still have a lot of things to address with family issues, so I'm going to graciously say thank you very much. It's been it's been a pleasure and really truly an honor to take it on, but I want to now spend a little bit of time addressing my family's needs. And so I'm going to bow out, but I say, really thank you very much for that. So the chairmanship, we would have to vote anyway. And I know there's been a couple of people that have expressed interest. So we'll start with the chairperson position, and I would ask that somebody
Make
nominate.
a motion to make Larry Bowman.
I like vice chair, I would like, but not chair. I like to
Then
nominate Bill. Perez.
William.
Okay.
I'm just gonna nominate William.
So we have one, and we have,
Like Lincoln, third choice.
okay. So we have a couple of people that have expressed interest, but before we'll do this in a democratic way. Colonel Bill Perez has accepted the nomination for chairperson, and I would like to nominate Mr. William Knickerbocker as the a potential candidate for chairperson. Do you accept or you don't?
I would rather not.
So,
I think the chairperson should live in Miami Lakes.
okay, good. I mean, it had been highlighted that there was an interest, so I'm just trying to, allow that we vote in a proper manner. It seems like
They
Bill,
go off in the press.
so, do we have any, sorry,
Belt us down and make-
excuse me, do we have any other nominations for the position of chairperson? We do not, then I would like that we, all in favor of Colonel Bill Perez being the next chairperson of the Veterans Committee going forward, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Mr. Colonel Perez, I congratulate you.
Thank you.
Chairperson. Now that leaves the vice chairmanship position open.
Nominate.
Larry.
Do you accept, Mr. Vice Chair?
And I challenge him for the one.
Okay, all right, so do we have anybody else that has an interest, would like to be nominated? Just kind of give the silent auction sign and, no? No, all right. Then all in favor of Mr. Borman continuing his duties as the vice chair, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, very good. Then Mr. Vice Chair, congratulations. Wish you long and healthy tenure as the vice chairman. I don't know, I see like a little bit, I think we're continuing something that was started this last election cycle, so congratulations. And then now the thankless job of secretary, and it really,
Like to nominate Gary.
No.
I have Mr.
I
Knickerbocker.
like the Mr. Knickerbocker.
Mr. Knickerbocker.
it really is kind of, it's an important job. You really have to, you have to be fastidious and you have to get it done in a timely fashion.
It is an important role and it's, for someone that, studies, government systems and stuff, it's very, like a beautiful role. It's the minutes, it's the records, town meetings, they have to be accurate.
It's actually more important than any other position. in the committee.
I just wanted
And
to.
so, yeah, I mean, the person that takes this job is really, I mean, this is, the candidate would have to be a top-notch, preferably a service academy graduate. I think that would be one of the prerequisites.
In all our work.
Yeah, it's really, I mean,
Reading his notes,
Yeah.
that's filled in. It's-
do you want the job or not?
I will accept the job.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, congratulations. No seconds. Congratulations, Mr. Secretary. All right, and with that, I would like to adjourn our meeting at, oh my goodness, wait a minute, we're actually would be early, it would be new. So, before I do that, well, let's go ahead and adjourn the meeting. I make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:58.
Everybody
The
said.
meeting has been adjourned.